Welcome to Selling in the Motor Trade, in association with Automotive Management and Simco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips, and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett, or some of you might already know me as Skippy. And firstly, I want to say thank you for taking the time to tune in. So let's talk about EVs then, okay? What is the future of electric vehicles? So in the UK, we've got 2030, we're not allowed to sell ICE anymore. Internal combustion engines, okay? So is that going to be pushed back? We know that the infrastructure is not exactly there for everyone to go that way. It seems to be getting better and better.
There's not enough rare earth materials. Where we're going to get the materials. California, to give you an example, California, who passed a law that we're going to have, they're the only state in the U.S. that has a law that says we will phase out ICE vehicles in 2030. The governor Newsom just put out an executive order that telling people not to plug in their electric vehicles on certain days because it'll crash the electric grid. Think of if everybody was driving an electric vehicle, it would crash the entire grid nationwide. Same thing in the UK, same thing in Europe, same thing. If everybody had an electric vehicle, we don't have the infrastructure to support it. People that live in apartments, where are they going to charge their vehicles? As you saw, one of my Ford dealers just told me today that he sold 2 Ford EV Lightnings. And one of the consumers already 1 month later wants to trade it in, and the other one 2 months later sold his because it didn't give the range they advertised. There's a lot of mythology with EVs right now. They don't have the range.
So what sort of percentage of sales are currently electric vehicles in the States? I know every state's going to be different, but do you have a gut feel of how many are there?
It's going to be 15% or less right now, but it's climbing rapidly. I mean, it's coming. I live in a country club community, and I see Teslas everywhere I look. And and I see other electric, but the other brands of electric vehicles, not so much. Not so much Ford, not so much General Motors, not so much Stellantis.
I really do think legislation is driving that. I was in a Kia business, one of our clients in London, and it's the biggest Kia showroom outside of Seoul, and it's a big old place. And legislation's driving this, but 65% of the cars they've sold this year are electric, and that's 65%. Now, again, legislation's driving that because they're in London and they have extra charges where you're driving into London in a diesel vehicle. I think it's 17 pounds a day or something like that. Now, that's extreme, okay? Now, having said that, electric is coming over here and we've got lots of people doing it. But is that going to be the future? Are we going down a cul-de-sac, do you think?
Oh, well, there are alternative fuel methods being explored, especially by Toyota.
Hydrogen.
Toyota's looking at hydrogen very seriously and much more sustainable and reproducible. Hydrogen can be produced. I mean, where's most of our rare earth materials coming from? China. China's pretty hostile to the West right now. I mean, do we really believe that that's going to sustain? I mean, in Africa, we can't beat those slave kids fast enough to produce more of it. I mean, it's awful, what they're doing over there, and the people are going to wake up. This is going to be a hard crash, as I said earlier. The agency model is not going to last. The electric vehicles are going to reach a sustainability of probably 30%.
Okay.
And I think, yeah, people will drive them. But most of the people that I know that have an electric vehicle in my community, it's a second vehicle. It's not the one they're going to go cross country on vacation.
I suppose
holiday.
That's good. I suppose one of the things that manufacturers are going to have to get their head around. On one day in my life, for various reasons, I drove the Porsche Taycan. It was the Audi e-tron, same car, but underneath same car. A Kia EV6, the Hyundai, again, same company underneath. I think I drove the BMW iX4. I tell you what, Jim, if I put a blindfold on, okay, driving a car, which wouldn't be safe, I wouldn't know which one is in, because electric motor is an electric motor. A battery's a battery. I mean, it's going to be difficult, for them to differentiate themselves. So that tells me that the Chinese with electric vehicles, they've got this raw material there. They're coming through. I mean, MG is I think one of the biggest electric vehicle suppliers in the UK. Sorry, that's a silly thing to say, but they're doing great guns with their electric vehicle. They're doing very, very well. Now, someone's going to write and say, no, EV were number one, or they weren't with MG. But the Chinese, are they not going to be coming with these electric vehicles?
Well, that's the thing. In 1999, maybe 2000, I was the keynote speaker for the New Jersey Auto Dealers Convention. And one of the plenary speakers, one of the other speakers, was Malcolm Bricklin. And Malcolm Bricklin, he brought Subaru over to the States. He also brought Yugo, which was a tremendous failure. But Malcolm Bricklin, at the time, was trying to bring Chery automobiles from China into the United States. Now, this was 25 years ago, or 23 years ago. And I stood on the stage and looked right at Malcolm Bricklin in the audience. I said, Chinese cars are never going to come ashore in the United States in a million, billion, trillion years, or something to that effect. First of all, they're a hostile company. They got a 2 million man army and no natural enemies. They're going to start something. They're counterfeiters. And they tested a Chery automobile in Russia with a 10-mile-an-hour crash test with a fixed barrier. All occupants were killed. They don't build a quality automobile. And guess what? I said that 23 years ago, and people were just screaming, Ziegler, you're wrong, which I've been screamed at many times that I was wrong. But guess what? They've never brought a Chinese vehicle ashore in the U.S. yet. Not one. And I said that 23 years ago. So Chinese, they are master counterfeiters, but they don't build a quality product. They never have. Not something as complex as an automobile. And they're great suppliers, and they're great counterfeiters. But as far as building a Chinese car that's going to have mass appeal, I don't see that.
Okay. We have MG over here, is owned by the Chinese. And as I said, some will write in and tell us. And that's
wasn't MG an already existing franchise?
MG was a franchise that went bankrupt in the UK. And the Chinese now own that, and they bought it. So they've taken that name there.
But it's not a Chinese originated vehicle. They also, I think that, who was it? They had some interest in Volvo, and I mean, buying an existing franchise or an existing plant is not what I was talking about. I'm talking about a totally originated vehicle coming from China.
Yeah, I gotta say there are some definitely some success stories are coming out there. There's Great Wall. There's BYD. I don't know if you've heard of them, but Build Your Dream seems to have lots of backing and lots of interest there. We'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what that happens there. But I tell you what.
I said it. I said it.
I will remember that. But also, I suppose the point I'm making there is they have access to electric vehicles. How do you make that electric car different? If it's a Chinese-built electric motor and it's a battery's a battery. It's a bigger one or a smaller one. Electric motor is bigger or smaller. I suppose that's the challenge.
Now you're getting into our sales training background. Now we're going to another aspect. I have always said that what sells a car? Performance sells a car over luxury. Sheet metal design sells a car. The looks of the car, the sheet metal design of the exterior of the car will sell a car more than other aspects of the sale. So yeah, what differentiates it? How you design the body of the car, what it looks like, the public perception of grandeur. I mean, people buy cars to impress. So when I sell a car and I'm teaching a salesperson how to sell a car, I often say, who are these people trying to impress? What are they trying to do? If you know who they're trying to impress, you can find a way to sell the car to them. You know, is it the people they work with? Is it their neighbors? Is it their person they want to, first love? Who are they trying to impress with this car? Why are they doing it? Very few people buy a truck, and trucks are sold more than cars for some manufacturers. Why do people buy a truck? They don't buy a truck for utility reasons. They don't buy a truck to haul stuff. They buy a truck to impress other truck owners.
I think you're dead right there. So listen, let's think about this. Are we the dinosaurs? Listen, of course, I don't think we are. No. I think dealers, we're going to be there. People still buy people, and that would be my belief there. But hey, listen, the world is changing. We need to get our heads around it. So you're a dealer now. You own your own dealership. Let's say you've just bought a dealer group. What would be the first things you would do to prepare the business for the agency that's coming? I know you said get yourself a good lawyer, get lawyered up there. But what would you do? Because this tide of it's coming there. What would you do looking forward if you're a dealer listening to this? That's what I'm driving at, really.
Okay, so if I bought an existing company, an existing dealership or existing dealership group, the first thing I'd do is I would not ever buy the corporation. I don't buy the corporation. I would buy the assets of the corporation where I can replace the people. And because I generally, first of all, hire the best people and pay them too much. That's the very first thing a dealer needs to do. Hire the best people, pay them more than anybody would ever pay them stupid money, and get rid of bad people.
No, Jim, so what I'm driving at is, if you did own that dealership, and it's not the way you'd buy it, what would you be doing in the dealership to prepare the guys for the tidal wave of agency that we know is coming?
Okay, now there you go. Better question.
Yeah.
Better question. Yeah. What would I do for the tidal wave? First of all, would I make the $1 million investment? Because most of the manufacturers are asking for a $1 million investment. And say I'm a Lincoln dealer. Lincoln, I would have trouble justifying $1 million investment, but say I've got a Chevrolet dealership, and that's a high volume store, and I made the $1 million investment. First of all, I would have to build a separate service facility, and because a lot of the service is going to come over the airways, they're going to do a lot of remote service. So I would have the charging stations, the high impact charging stations, and the low volume charging. I would have plenty of charging stations, because that's one thing that eventually is going to happen. Gas stations are going to become obsolete if ICE cars become obsolete. So gas stations are going to be selling electricity. We don't realize that you're not going to get this electricity for free when you're on the road like you do now. Right now, you can pull into a hotel and get free electricity in a charging station for your car.
Wow.
But in the future, that's going to be, you're going to put a credit card in to get that electricity.
We're definitely there now. There's not a lot of free charging over here at the moment.
Oh no, as they already started that. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So I would have plenty of charging stations. I would have to educate my people. That's the thing. Most dealers don't invest. They'll spend $2,000, $1,500 to secure a customer. Mm-hmm. And they spend no amount of money training their people to handle that customer. Mm-hmm. And with the electric customer, it's going to be a whole different set of priorities when they come on. How well are my people trained? How well do they know that product? Yeah. And I'm going to have to go with a BDC, Business Development Center. Mm. I'm going to really beef up my online sales. Mm. And I'm already teaching that. I've already got friends like Bobby Heron and Jennifer Briggs. I've got some of the foremost BDC people in the world in my inner circle. You saw them on my show, The Dog Pound. Mm. You know, those women are brilliant, and I've got them in my inner circle, because that would the kind of people I would bring in to consult me. Mm. I always said cover your weakness. Mm. Dealers don't know. I never became a dealer principal because I didn't know the service department. Mm-hmm. And I never wanted to know the service department. And that's why I never bought my own dealership. That's why I went a different route. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to buy a dealership, I'm going to have to cover my weakness. I'm going to hire the foremost consultants in the country. I'm going to join a 20 group of other dealers that share best practices and best ideas from all over the country. Hmm. I'm going to learn. Once again, there's that role models and mentors, but I'm going to seek out peers that are equal to me that discuss best practices. I'm going to find these people.
I say with the on the floor with the electric journey, there's two key parts to it. A salesperson might know the range and talk about range anxiety and all of that. The other part that is a weakness, I find, talking about weakness, cover your weakness. The customers want to know is, my charging at home, what tariff? How much am I going to charge? Do I charge overnight? Where do I get the charger? It's all that side of it. You get a local business person. They actually have 6 vans. He loves the idea of the new electric Volkswagen van coming out there. He's like, great, I love that. But how do I actually get all of them charged at work? There's 2 parts of that sale they need to get their head around. And
if you live in an apartment, where are you going to,
yep.
Where are you going to charge it? You're right. And one of my best friends is Mark LeNave, who is past president of General Motors. Mm-hmm. He is now president of Charge, which is building these charging facilities for businesses and residential as well. Mm-hmm. And that is a fast growing. You're right. Mm. People don't realize you're going to have special hookups at home for your electric vehicle. You're not going to just plug it into your wall socket.
No, it definitely would appear there that the whole EV market is further ahead in Europe, I think, and again driven by legislation, I think. Jim, what about these? I don't know if any of the states out there are giving some sort of incentive to buy electric vehicles. I know here there's been lots of incentives. It's starting to come back down there. Is that happening out there?
Well, let's look at manufacturer greed. Mm-hmm. Now, the incentives last year and this year, they put a $7,500 rebate for purchasing EV vehicles. That was just not too long ago. Mm-hmm. Immediately, General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford all raised the price of their vehicles by $7,500. They took the profit. They've had multiple price increases. If the public thinks direct sales are going to give you a break, you had a break with the dealers, because the dealers were competitive, trying to undercut the price of each other. The manufacturers are going to take you to the cleaners. They're going to make full price and beyond on every vehicle, and they're going to raise the price. Believe it or not, General Motors just came out with a $100,000 pickup truck.
$100,000. Wow.
EV.
Yeah. Yep.
So every incentive the government has put out, the manufacturers raised their price by that much. And when they saw the dealers were marking up cars over sticker, the manufacturers raised their prices by $10,000 per vehicle to absorb the money the dealers were making excess profit.
Hey, Jim, this is the real issue. All the manufacturers know they have to develop EV. EV costs a fortune for them to do. Agency, they're looking how to fund that. And they look at us dealers, and I do believe that they're thinking, hold on, if we can get some of that back that we're having to pay the dealers, that's what they're trying to do to fund it. And listen, this all comes down from a report that Deloitte did and saying, hey, you've got to fund the actual electric vehicles. You ain't got the money to do it. And actually, agency is where they think they're going to do it. Now, again, for legal purposes, I got to tell you, that's my view on what's happening there.
Well, this is our opinion. This is our view. But how many people in the UK, Australia, Europe in general, how many people have credit challenges or challenges financially buying these cars? Let me ask you that, Simon.
Well, I don't know what it is in America, but actually it's going to be probably similar in those other countries. We work in Ireland, the UK, the Australian market. There will be people with credit challenges. The point they're making, they'll have credit challenges with ICE vehicles as well, though, won't they?
Okay, delinquency just went up 61% year over year. So people are already, and we're entering a U.S. recession. That's going to end up being an international recession.
It is, yeah.
So when we have an international recession, delinquency is going to go up even more. It's already up 61% year over year. So when who's going to work these deals? Manufacturers. I made a career out of working the hard to put together deals and putting them together. The manufacturer, they're going to do that online? No way. The manufacturers do not know how to sell cars. They know how to sell cars to the elite customer. Like I have an 830 credit score. I can buy a car anywhere with no money down. I can finance a car. I generally pay cash. I'm the elite customer. Most people are not me. Most people walking in that dealership can't do that. We're going to have to structure the deal. We're going to have to work with the banks. We're going to have to discount the car. We're going to have to inflate the trade-in. The manufacturers don't know how to do this, and they never will, because every couple of years, a bunch of them retire. Here comes a whole new bunch. We have to train them all over again.
But again, isn't that what they want with agency? They don't want us to discount the car. They don't want to have it. They want it transparent there.
If that was realistic. If that was realistic, if it was non-competitive, but it's going to be competitive. I mean, if there's only one manufacturer, you can get away with that. But take the triad of Mercedes, BMW, and now Audi. Those three are viciously at each other's throats.
Always are everywhere around the world.
Those three. I mean, Audi just came to the party recently. Lexus might be in there in some markets, but anyway, as soon as one of them dips in market share, the stockholders are going to go crazy, and that's exactly what's going to happen. That's what's going to crash the agency model, because the agency model cannot sell as many cars as dealers can sell.
Yeah. Audi at the moment, if you look at their fleet business, it's all under agency at the moment anyway. It's all fixed price. That's absolutely there. And that's quite interesting, because when the manufacturer hits the panic button, which they always do, because they've got supply that they can't sell for whatever reason, I believe, where does that go to? Does it go to the brokers? Okay. If they can't discount it, or it's going to be an interesting one to watch, isn't it? Definitely interesting.
I was called by when Mercedes bought Chrysler Corporation. Do you recall?
Yeah. Yep.
Back in the early 2000s, Chrysler Corporation in the U.S. was owned by Mercedes. They called me to Auburn Hills, to the U.S. headquarters of Chrysler, and I had a mixture of executives in the room, German and U.S. And I said, you need to build the Hemi Cuda. Ford's coming out with a retro Mustang. General Motors is coming out with a retro Camaro unit, and they got me I'm on a bar stool, and they're all sitting around me asking me questions, paying me my full consulting fee. So I'm answering questions for the Germans and for the Americans. And I said, and one of the German guys says, we don't do retro cars. I said, well, Ford and General Motors are, you need to. And he said, I said, well, there was a Hemi Cuda. We don't build the Plymouth product anymore. Okay, you don't build the Plymouth product, but there was a Dodge version called the Challenger. Mm-hmm. And it had a Hemi engine. You have just introduced the Hemi engine. You need to do that. We don't do retro cars. We don't do, I said, let me tell you something. When you were kicking soccer balls and wearing a little leather shorts and crap, we were driving these things around hamburger stands. You don't understand what way we sell cars here. It was a whole different thing. And you know what? They built the Hemi Challenger after I did that.
I was going to say, because Volkswagen builds the retro cars all the time. The Beetle, the new electric van that's coming out, and it's going to be the California, the electric version of the California, whatever they call it. I was going to say, yeah, they definitely build retro all the time. Yeah, they have
Volkswagen did, but the other time they said they didn't.
They definitely learned after that lesson. They definitely did, didn't they? That brings me on to the NADA, the National Automotive Dealers Association. It seems like from the outside looking in, such a powerful organization. And is the NADA going to be looking at the agency model? Are they going to be looking at very closely and seeing is it the best for the consumer and the dealers?
Oh, well, see, that's the thing. If you look at my show, The Dog Pound, I had the Dog Pound show every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern U.S. time. 3 weeks ago, I had the president of the NADA. Mm-hmm. And we talked about that very subject. Mm-hmm. What is the NADA doing? Are they going to march off the battlefield bruised and wounded? Where are they going in the dealer's behalf on the agency model? Where are they going on the dealer's behalf on the divesting of the dealers, where the manufacturers? You see, Ford Motor Company has said that they expect only 40% of their dealers will cough up the $1 million to be able to sell 1 million cars. Mm-hmm. To be able to sell EV cars. So guess what? That means 60% of their dealers are going to become obsolete if the 2030 mandate was real. Mm. 60% of the dealers are out. They're gone. I mean, every year that we get closer to 2030,
it's not far. It's not far away, is it?
Your franchise becomes worth less and less every year. There goes your blue sky. There goes your dealership value. It becomes the value of the real estate and the real estate value. And you've got a 20,000 foot showroom. That's going to be a big indoor skateboard emporium. I mean, come on. So what we're looking at here is, if the dealers are going to be divested, is the NADA going to protect the franchise laws? Because right now they're loose, and they've got a lot of lobbying going on there, and there's a lot of things that he could not discuss with me that we did discuss. But yeah, there's a lot coming, and NADA is powerful, but only powerful as far as the contributions from the dealers and the lobbying efforts they make with the state. We got to lobby the state legislators as well as the national legislators, and the national legislators right now are hostile. And there's another entire movement in the U.S. called the Right to Repair Act.
I've not heard of that. What's that?
Well, that's going to be one of your shows. The Right to Repair Act is where independent servicing facilities can do work under warranty. Mm-hmm. So there goes the dealer service business. And President of the United States, July a year ago, signed the Right to Repair Act into law, and it's being expanded now. So the Right to Repair Act is going to be a Jiffy Lube facility could conceivably do warranty work. That hasn't happened yet, but it's conceivable.
It's conceivable. Cool. Listen, I love these conversations like this. How do people get hold of you, Jim? How do people find out? Talk us about the dog pound. How do they find the alpha dog?
How do you find the alpha dog? First of all, I come up 4.5 million times in Google. My name is Jim Ziegler, Ziegler, I before E. Jim Ziegler. Ziegler Super Systems is my main website. And if you go to Facebook, the first place you'll find me is facebook.com/James A. Ziegler. And that's where the Dog Pound shows. And you can also find the Dog Pound on Ziegler On Demand.
Dog Pound, that's once a week you have that show.
That show has gotten so controversial. 61% of our viewers are executives. And I mean, dealer principals or manufacturer executives. That show is controversial because I'm controversial.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Well, listen, Jim, I got to say, it's nice to finally get you on the show. Okay, I really do appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Simon, I'd love to have you on my show as well.
It sounds like a deal. Let's go and do that. That sounds great. That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn.